Back in this goddamn program again. This is where I made my first tier list. I think that I was in this program for the first stream I did in like a couple, like the first return stream, like about like, was it a week ago, I think? Something like that. I won't lie, I was having a really hard time at figuring out what tier list to make. Mainly because I realized maybe I'm being a bit picky about it, but I was like, dude, I don't want to do some of these ideas. Some of these ideas are boring. I don't want to do like, oh, how fun is it to play which character in Genshin? Because I realize I'm probably not going to actually enjoy making that too much. If I'm really running out of ideas, I might actually still go to that, but you know, there's still more ideas left in my head. And worst comes to worst, maybe I'll do like a rant at the beginning of stream instead. It'll be less interesting, but you know, why not? Regardless, yeah. As you guys can see, I'm doing a Timesink chart, tier list chart, whatever you want to call it. If it isn't explanatory enough, if it's higher towards the top, it means you're gonna have to put more time into it to actually get through the game, be it progress for the main story or just like progress for your characters. Sometimes those two things are connected, so yeah. And then right, left. I originally wasn't gonna do a right, left, like an X and Y like chart like this, but I had it regardless because I didn't want to look for a single axis. But yeah, if it's more to the right, that means it's, I think, more worth it. That could be because of gameplay, or it could be because of story. And some of these might not even be time sinks because they take a long time to like level up. Some of these are just like time sinks because of the pure girth of the game. You know, like how people like talk about like the tutorial for like Kingdom Hearts 2. That's like massive. Some of these are like just long because of that. I guess I could go for something like, let's start with something that I think is not that much of a time sink. I think that I think GFL2 is a pretty clear example of like this game doesn't really want us to take that much time to play. There's a lot of things that you could complain about in the game, like the gacha skin. I think gacha skins are always a terrible idea, but the game itself is like not really that intensive. The dailies are very short, and on top of that, the actual base game, ignoring the dailies, is not really that. Doesn't really take very long. Hell, okay, even like Gunsmoke, which I don't like playing Gunsmoke, I usually auto it, doesn't actually take that long. It's just that the reasons that you might want to take long in Gunsmoke is if you're like try-harding and are trying to min-max. Regardless of anything, the game is just, it's not really that much of a time sink. There's a lot of stories I got through now, but even then the story is just not that long. It's not like high in word count or high in like, it's not like soul paced. It just goes and it goes. So actually, I don't know why I'm doing it that way, but yeah, it'll be like probably towards the bottom here. It's not really a time sink. Whether or not it's worth it, that's a different question. I think the story is like reasonably good. And I think the thing is, the reason why I'm leaning towards right is that relative to everything else, it just doesn't take much to get into the game, so it's kind of hard for me to say it's not worth it. I think the monetization is really the actual biggest complaint here, but the problem is that doesn't. I'm talking about worth it relative to time, not worth it relative to money. If we're talking about greed, that's a different situation. At least in terms of time spent, I think the game has to be like more like middle over here. It's not really a time sink. And it's not a time sink, but I mean it's like worth it because it doesn't really take very long to play the game. I guess we could go for also the game that I'm probably going to be playing later today, as long as this doesn't take like 5 quadrillion hours. We're going to do Nikkei. Nikke, the story is paced in a way that I actually don't think it doesn't take very long to go through a lot of story. Nikke's actual problem is that the story is paced by your level. You get power gated eventually. And mind you, at like for example the power level I'm at, I won't have any problems going through anything. Even then, it took a while for me to get to that point. It has to at least be above here. It is somewhat of a time sink. I do think it's very worth it though. The story is, I think for the most part, quite enjoyable. Well, it's gonna be all the way here, but it should at least be here. It's more, I think, worth it than GFL is. I think over here is fine. Oh, we could do Enfield. Enfield is... It's weird to talk about Enfield because I feel like Enfield has already some... I don't know, It doesn't take very long to get through dailies in the game. Like, I think literally today I opened it up, I did like barely anything and I completed my dailies very quickly, but like... Man, I don't know, going through the base story took a long time to get through. It was kind of a slog. As it stands, I actually do think this maybe is the game that I think is most leaning towards the middle or the left, because while I like the game, it is like, it just isn't, it ain't hitting at that point for me where I think it's worth the time I'm putting into the game. The factory is the most rewarding part, I think, and that kind of sucks because I don't really like the factory that much. I'm kind of biting off of other people and taking their blueprints and being like, yeah, that's good enough. As it stands, maybe it's her. Maybe it's in the mid. I think it's a little above because it's slightly more of a time sink. Again, remember, this is taking into account both pacing of the story and any other factors that might play into that, like leveling. If things get too hard and you need to level up, that counts into being whether or not it's a time sink. Like, for example, Fate's time sink part is not levels at all, because for the most part, leveling is a little difficult at the beginning, but it gets very quickly very easy. And you start to have like max level units very quickly. The actual time sink of the game is the story length. It's just a girthy story, which is why maybe it's about the same as Nikke, because Nikke is like girthy because it's really easy to get power gated, but like Fate, you don't get power gated. You just simply have to wallow through the story. If the story at the beginning is like kind of, I guess I can't really put it at the same level because it has to be higher, because there's more volume of story than others. Regardless, I think it's worth it. Fate's one of those series I also think that, like, generally speaking, you're always gonna, no matter what, if you start the game, you're going to find at least one servant that you really like. And I remember there was a Twitter post that was talking about that, where they were saying like, oh, there's always like one Fate servant that like no one cares about, that there's always at least, like, you would think no one would care about them, but there's one person who's really dedicated to that character. And, you know, I don't think any of the characters I like are particularly, like, rare to like, if I'm going to be completely honest, for the most part. I like, Tlaloc? Tlaloc is very popular. I like Melusine. Melusine's really popular. Castoria, very popular. Ash / Tanilico, very popular. I feel like the only characters I could think of that I don't know they're popular. I don't know two of their populators, and I know one of them is not that popular. Like Saika, I don't think is that popular. People forget about her all the time. I really like Saika. She's my grand archer on the Japanese server. And Metatron and Kazura, I like both of them. I don't really know how popular those characters are though, so maybe they're popular. My greater point of view in mentioning this is that it is a game that I think is going to be worth it to sink your time into, because you're going to find a character you like, and I think that's kind of cool that there's literally something for anyone. So it's probably the one. Again, I know it's biased because I like Fate a lot, but yeah. I should probably put it over here more though, because I'm thinking about it more. Even ignoring story, if you're looking at like farming content and stuff like that, farming in these other games is like it's very easy in GFL. It's not. It's pretty easy in Nikkei, but it does take time because some of the stuff is hard to get. And Enfield's, don't think it's too bad, but I don't know. This game, there is no auto farming, so if you need materials, you just have to, you had to brute force farm, so it is a time sink, but it's worth it. Guess we could go for the other one that I've been playing a lot of. Wait, okay, probably wait. I'm a dumb duty head, so let me just fix it. There you go. Yeah, Arknights. I've been playing a lot of Arknights. I didn't get Sakiko. I didn't get her off with the free rolls. I had to roll. It was fine. It's fine. I need to make sure to get Praminix. Arknights. Arknights does feel like a bit of a time sink. There's a lot of story to get through, but I don't know. It also is difficult to eat 2 units. It is a bit of a time sink, I think, regardless of anything. And if you even want to, I haven't even touched IS yet, and I'm eventually gonna have to because I want Rhydion, the lady with the fish. I don't know. There's a lot to consider for here. Maybe it's about at the same level. It's a little higher, and I do think it's ever so slightly. I think that's fair. I will say for some of these guys, I'm not gonna actually put them on the list. For example, as much as I'd like to put Stellasaur on the list, I just don't think I have the experience in it, so I will refrain. I will abstain from putting this anywhere. I can't really speak for it. Farming is very easy in the game once you've done it once, since you can auto it after you've done it once, it seems like, but I don't actually know how long it is to go through these things. Going through a dungeon once does take a little bit of time, but I don't know. It's not anything I want to judge it. This game is a time sink. Oh my god. Doing a single run without auto, because they don't have auto in the English version. Yeah, let me... Okay. Whatever, that's good enough. This is getting a little loud, the song. This game, the careers take so long without auto. And then even past just that aspect of the thing of the game, there's the fact that most people consider the main content of the game the cups, like the Taurus Cup or whatever. And holy, to do those, you gotta repeat farm over and over again for sparks, and then feed those sparks into the horses that you want. This game is a time sink through and through. And I'm gonna be honest, I really like the characters. I don't think it's as worth it as a lot of these other games are. It is definitely at the same level as Fate. That's a hot take. It is definitely at the same level as Fate. This game is an obscene time sink because of how grindy it seems to get. The other games, the farming is like kind of hands off, so to speak. But for example, like Arknights, if you needed to farm like an event, if you completed it once, you don't need to really do it again. You could just do the auto for the event. I'm doing that right now for the Ave Mujica event, but these other, I don't know. I'm getting out a little bit of ice cream because just a couple hours until we got to start bouncing again. Yeah, I think it's just time, very, very time sinky. Everything about it is kind of long, at least from my perspective. I don't dislike, I really do enjoy playing the careers like the first time. It's just that after you do like an Uma career, I feel like you end up having to... I don't know, because everyone that I know who plays Uma always ends up farming for the cups, the PvP modes. And they always spam farm it. So from my perspective, I feel like Uma has to be a massive time sink. And from my perspective, I just don't know if at least for me, I don't think that's worth it. I want to play Uma just because I like the characters, not because I actually really want to do the PvP stuff. So for me, it's not that worth it. If you really like grinding and you feel PvP competitive is your thing, you know what? That's fair. Maybe it'll be worth it to you. Not to me, though. What should I do here? I don't think that Impact Third. I haven't. Okay, look, I have not played Part 2, but when I was playing, when Part 1 was the thing, it didn't really feel like it was too much of a time sink. The story does take a little bit to get through, but like, it's just reading. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, Fate is also just only reading, but this is not that much of a time sink comparatively. This is a giant cluster of over here, but I think I would want to put it here. This is a mess. I think it's about... I think I like Arknights a little more. A little bit of favoritism towards Arknights. But I think Impact Third is... I think it's about the same as Nikke. It's... Maybe I'm being a little judgmental, actually. I don't think it's just a bit of it. I need to lower it. I don't think it's as bad of a time sink as Nikke is. Nikke, you definitely could sink a lot of time into it. I know that there's like the arena, like the bosses that you have to do to like maintain like Red Lotus or whatever, but like I don't think that's as bad as Nikke's stuff. Because again, if you want to progress in like Tribe Tower and things like that, you have to wait like a lot of time to actually start to level up. We'll do Star Rail. I think Star Rail's an easy one. This is the one I have like probably the most experience in. Okay, well that's not true. Fate is the one I have the most experience in, but I think I could very easily place this. Is it a time sink? It has become more and more of a time sink because there's like 4 endgame modes. Only 3 that provide gems, but like there's 4 endgame modes realistically. There's 2 different weekly modes. There's a lot to get through. On top of that, the story is like, it is needlessly dense a lot of the times. It is definitely a time sink. It is not that easy to get through. On top of that, if you have like, well, actually, I don't know. What is the experience for the new players? In like, for example, wuwa, if you were a new player and you got like imma, you would have to go through quite a lot to actually use her. I don't know if that's the case in HSR. I think I put HSR here, right? Maybe I'm being generous, actually. I don't think it's as worth it. I feel like my feelings are souring on HSR more lately because of the whole elation thing, and I really don't like it. The game is power creeping more. I actually did like the Forest ending, contrary to what a lot of people felt, but is it worth it? I don't know. I don't really feel like it is that worth it to jump in. I think it's like over here. Like, I'm sticking to the game because I like Silver Wolf more or less. Back chat. I need to get a tissue. This ice cream is spilling on me. Okay, I'm back. I waited too long to start eating that ice cream. Sorry, I'm melted. Okay. I can't. I'm gonna leave GBF too because I don't actually feel like I have a good gauge on that. I also don't think it's very fair for me to say because again, I have been consuming mainly Linus' story, like through watching it. I'm gonna be honest with you because I didn't really enjoy the gameplay, but I'm gonna give it a try again because someone was suggesting to give it another shot, which I think is fair. I tried Arknight several times before I started to actually enjoy it. And some of it is like my fault. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't really understand the DP system very much in Arknights, which is why it hampered my enjoyment of the game. I will give this a shot eventually, the gameplay, but as of now, I don't know if I have a engage in this because again, I don't really actually engage too much with the gameplay. This wasn't really that much of a time sink. This was like, I think it's worth it because the story was fairly enjoyable, but it was not really a time sink. I'm also gonna. Genshin. Genshin's also a time sink. I know people are probably gonna want to deny that. It's not Uma level, but it is a bit of a time sink. I think it's marginally more worth it. I'll really actually that then, wouldn't it? Yeah. It is a girthy story. On top of that, the reason why I'm not denying anything in terms of like the fact that I think it's like kind of weird that it is that I think you'll still get a lot of enjoyment while doing the time sync. I think that's actually helping it a little bit. Is that at least in between it you'll enjoy it. Like for Nikke, I think the actual problem here is that when you're in the time sync period where you get gated, you just sit there and you're like, dang, I can't do anything. In Genshin, you could still do things while you're like going through the motions, which helps it quite a lot. Its gameplay is quite effective at helping in that situation. And we'll do its cousin that it's constantly beefing with, wuwa. Wuwa is about the same time sync, and yeah, I'd probably put it like right in the middle. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, it just aggravates me way more. Well, they deal with the same issue. The problem is I can't overlap them right on top of each other. It's slightly less story, I guess, so it's slightly less of a time sink. My problem is what I've beef with was just I hate the fact that you can't get the material for new areas quickly. Like, dude, I get Ameth and they're like, oh no, you needed to actually be caught up completely to get the flowers, and I'm like, or even her echo set, and I'm like, dude, this is just kind of cringe, man. Like you give me early access to everything but the two things I need. That's dumb. You give like half of the solution, not the full thing. That's more aggravating. I don't know if Genshin really does that because again, I'm caught up with Genshin, so I can't say too much. But like, man, I don't know. That just it aggravates me. Zelda Zone Zero is also a bit of a time sink at its current state because there's a lot of story to get through, but it's less of a time sink than HSR. I think it's a little more worth it because again, it's similar to Genshin in that it's gonna be enjoyable. I think it's enjoyable to actually go through the motions because at least the gameplay is like relatively fluid and fun feeling. At least to me, it is. Also, in general, the reason why it's so low on Timesink is also just because, again, there's not that much content to consume, and a lot of it you could get through just the prepaid cards now, so that's pretty neat. Do Blue Archive. Yeah, Blue Archive is good. Is it the Timesink? Nah, I don't really think it is. I know that you do go through the motions, but you're not really gated through much of the story is the thing. You eventually do meet like kind of a gatekeeper in Hieronymus, but like that isn't even that much of a gatekeep because it's kind of not that hard. The gatekeep again happens in the final chapter, but you could borrow in that. So like by pure lack of time sink, it's I think more worth it because there really isn't that much that you need to get through. I'll put this here. Yeah, I'm not gonna go crazy and write stuff like vote of no confidence. I can't say, so I. Just generalize. Okay. There you go. This was definitely a lot shorter, more concise, so that's cool, I guess. Pretty neat. Tier list a lot shorter. I feel like maybe I gave less justification, but it's kind of more simple this time, I think. So that's cool. Thank you guys for stopping by, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.